After all the things that I'm doing in my life and all the things that I've exposed about government corruption and all the ways that I am very vocal against government corruption and how the world works in general, and then me being called a rat, it kind of, I was very taken aback by it.
What advice would you give people if they were to receive a call from the FBI? Assalamu alaikum. How you doing?
Alaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah, I'm doing great.
Very good, very good. So, the topic of tearing down posters of hostages was one of the most talked about topics post October 7th.
Mhm.
And 9 months ago, Piers Morgan made an episode on his Piers Morgan Uncensored about this particular topic. And I quote one of the things he said, and I quote, anti-Israel protesters taking upon themselves to rip them, posters, down. In New York, multiple flyers are torn away daily. In Germany, police were caught tearing posters of hostages too. So my first question, why wasn't there an episode titled Piers Morgan rips into British police who torn down Israeli
Mhm.
hostage posters? But there was an episode titled Piers Morgan tears into man who torn down Israeli hostage poster.
That's a good way of phrasing that question. And of course, if he wants to attack the police in Germany, that's going to have a lot of different repercussions for him. But if he tries to attack a person like me, he doesn't even know my background, which was pretty interesting the way he came at me. And a lot of people don't. And I
Tell us
use
about
that
your
to my,
background. Let's start with that.
well, there's
Where
a
you
lot of
from?
different aspects to my background, whether personal or political or educational or experiential, where I traveled and what I did. And also what I've learned throughout the years that I've been living this human experience. And where am I from? The most summarized and accurate answer I can give you to that question is that I am from God. And with regards to the human experience, I was born in Egypt, but I grew up my entire childhood in Qatar. And then I went to university in the Emirates. After that, I stayed there for 3 years, and then I went to Germany to play football there for 2 years while I was also studying. And then I traveled around to multiple countries that did have an influence on my character and who I've become. And I've also learned a lot and grew exponentially in Germany. And besides all that, I have an American passport. So who am I going to identify with? Who am I going to associate with? If I tell you I'm Egyptian, I didn't really live there much. So it didn't really have that much of an influence on me. Am I Qatari? I'm not, I don't consider myself to be Qatari. And am I Emirati? No. Am I German? No. Am I American? What is an American? It's just uh, a card that I have that I get to use to travel freely and have certain advantages that other people may not have. But where am I from? I'm from God, just like you. But people seem to forget that, and that's why we have all this political clown show that keeps happening all around the world.
How were you invited to the show? Like, there were a couple of people that turned down posters
Yeah.
in different cities in the country. Why you?
Subhanallah, I met Piers Morgan on the street while after he did his interview with Bassem Youssef. I was just casually walking on the street. I was out for a jog around Beverly Hills because I live in the same area. And then I was walking. As I'm jogging, I'm not always running 20 like the entire time. So as I was walking, I see a man coming towards me, and then I look at him for a couple seconds. I'm like, Piers Morgan? He was like, yeah. And then I shake his hand and be like, hey man, I really appreciate the good work you've been doing, like the interview with Bassem Youssef, and I appreciate how you have people like him on your platform and you're giving them a voice. So I was very positive with him, and it was a very good interaction. That's why how things turned out later on was even me during that interview. Uh, Although I do take some responsibility for how things went, because I started off in a very lighthearted way. It's very unexpected, but at the same time, when we were meeting in person, it was very positive, and I expressed my appreciation and respect for the work that he does because I see beyond what we usually see in the news. I can get where he's coming from, and he has provided a lot of value for the Muslim community and also for the Palestinian cause, although he's playing the devil's advocate. But he's given a huge platform to a lot of people to really explain and reach people that otherwise we wouldn't have reached. So he's a double-edged sword. I
Was
don't.
he running too, though? I'm really
No, he was just
curious.
walking.
He was just
Yeah,
walking.
but I would note one thing: he had a pretty good handshake, so that's why I respected Piers Morgan overall. And I told him in person, I don't judge you as a person, and I don't know who's paying you or who's funding you, but it's good to see a mainstream person giving a platform and having such conversations in front of millions of people. So I made it clear I'm not his fan, but at the same time I respect the platform and I respect what has happened through you.
Could you give us just a quick recap because it was 9 months ago?
Yeah.
What happened during that interview
Hmm.
from your perspective, from someone who was on the receiving side of the questions?
Well, first of all, something that is very uncomfortable in the interview is that I don't see him. I'm looking at a camera lens and I'm looking at myself. There's a screen where I see myself, and then another green screen, and then the camera in front of me. And I'm in a room. I posted a reel about the setup on my Instagram page, and all you have is an earpiece in your ear, and that's how we're having the conversation. That's why a lot of times in the interview you'd see me, I'm looking up and around. It's because there's nothing to focus on besides the lens, and I did focus on the lens when I was speaking. And right before the interview, his bookie or producer, I don't know what exactly his title is, but the person that got in touch with me so that we can organize that interview. We had a call before the interview by I think 2 days or so, and we had a quick conversation just so that he can get an idea of what I would say. And then when I got to the studio, he called me I think 3 times right after each other, and he told me and he was texting like bring the fire, and
Oh,
you
you
don't.
guys were texting?
Yeah. And then he was like, we texted quite a bit, and he reached out to me on every single platform, and I have a lot of my contact information out there. I'm not hiding. I'm not that difficult to reach if you really want to reach me. And
Don't reach with malicious intentions.
even if they do with malicious intentions, I can handle it. And then uh, he reached me by email, WhatsApp. I think text is. He reached me in every single way that I had up there. I have multiple emails. I have multiple
So
numbers. He
Piers
texted every
Morgan
single
was
number.
stalking you essentially. That should be a next headline.
Maybe his team, but I don't. But Piers Morgan did see my stories, so he I know that he was on my page, but I didn't text Piers Morgan himself. So as I got to the interview, while I was there, I was waiting. There was this other person, I think Cenk Uygur, if I said his name correctly. He was there.
Cenk, yep.
Yeah, and we sat down together in the waiting room. I didn't know him. I was like, "Hey, how you doing? What are you going to talk about today?" And then he told me something about having a two-state solution. We had a very brief conversation, and he told me, "Yeah, is this your first time?" I was like, "Yeah, first time with Piers, yeah." And yeah, we shook hands, and he went in first, and then I went in right after him. And right before I go in, the producer or the bookie, he called me and he told me, "You don't have that much time, so try to say things as quickly as possible." I told him I have 11 points. He was like, I could sense the nervousness that he didn't want me to say everything, but he was like, "Yeah, just bring the fire, and we want that energy and that passion." And you can. He literally told me to interrupt him because this is how they want the show to be: fire and drama and that intensity. So he kind of wound me up to have an intense conversation and not a very mindful and thoughtful conversation. And given my athletic background, I'm fully capable of being on either end of the spectrum. So I went in hot, guns blazing. I decided to start off with my British accent, and then he didn't take that very well, which is also why they censored it. Ironically, being on an uncensored platform, and not only did they censor the British part, which I would have understood, maybe it might not have appeared very professional, but they also censored very critical points I mentioned, and that's what gave me the energy to really know I got you. Your entire branding is on being uncensored. And not only did you censor the parts that I may have appeared odd to many people, especially on that platform, and especially that they don't know me as well, but also censoring critical information about points that are very relevant to the political situation that we're discussing. So, that was a huge uh, gotcha moment for the entire platform.
Speaking of censorship, what does censorship mean to you?
What does it mean to me, or what are we living through?
Let's
So,
start with the first part. What does it mean to you?
well, censorship can happen on many different levels, whether personal when you censor yourself, or throughout your relationships when your parents try to censor you, for example, from expressing a certain behavior or thought or opinion. Uh, and then we can go all the way to a much higher level with government censoring people's freedom of expression, freedom of movement. And there's a lot of different layers to how you can be censored. And it's not just through freedom of speech. People can now start censoring their own thoughts, just like the thought police in George Orwell's novels. So it's very deep within our psyches, and the more we see it happening to us, for example, on Instagram and YouTube. For example, my podcast and my videos that I share, they literally remove the entire thing because I mentioned the word. I don't want to mention it here, so they don't remove yours. Like, remember in 2020 when we had
Mm,
the V,
mm.
and anytime I talk about that, or Uncle Billy G,
I
uh,
had no idea what that is.
Billy G, the guy that's the founder of Microsoft. I mean,
Ah,
yeah.
got it.
I'm just using different names because they have certain triggers that activate the AI that catch that. So I'm just getting creative with how I can still say the same thing in different ways. And yeah, so there's a lot of censorship that happens everywhere. And what we see from the government is simply a reflection of what we also do within our own communities. So
So this censorship that you've experienced, is this the first time that it caused you to get a call from FBI?
it's the first time I get a call from the FBI. And
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
about the call,
Yeah.
it came a couple months, I think 2 or 3 months after. I was in Hawaii already, and I was in bed at that time when I got a call, because I've been getting a lot of calls after that interview. A lot of people, because I have my business number publicly available on my website, like the marketing company website, and I didn't change the number. I kept it. I didn't. I could have done a lot of things to avoid people reaching me, but I just let everything as it is, and I handled anyone that came my way. And so I was just picking up the call, just like I pick up any other call, and um, it was a woman asking me, "Hi, am I speaking to Shehab ELRefai?" I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And then I don't remember what how the conversation went exactly. I have a way to remember it. I'm not sure if I want to say how I have that. Hmm. Actually, I'll just say it because I might actually just share it in general. I have a recording of it, so I can go back to that voice recording. But I don't have the recording of the first call because we called twice. First time she called me, and then she asked me, "Is this a good time to talk? Should I? You can call me back in a
You saw
couple
the
minutes."
number or was it no caller ID?
No, there was a number.
There was a number.
Yeah,
I always imagined it's gonna be no caller ID if an FBI calls me.
yeah. There was a number, and then we had a very brief first conversation, and I was in bed, kind of sleepy also at the time. Just woken up, and I just answered very casually. I closed. I said, "No, this is not a good time. You can call me back." And at the beginning, I thought she said SEI. I didn't know what that is, so I called back to be like, "What is the SEI, and how did they get my name?" And a lot of scams were happening as well. I was getting a lot of scam calls from people that were trying to get to me or annoy me. They used my number to sign me up to different companies, and then those companies would call me thinking I had applied to their services, and now they're following up with me. So I wasted a lot of time picking up random calls.
I
And
love the confidence though. Like an FBI is calling me. I'm sorry, I'm sleeping. Not a good time.
yeah, I told her, let me call you back in a couple minutes, and then I did call her back. I could have just not called her back to begin with, but I have no problem. I called back, and then we had a conversation. I think it was like 10, 15 minutes. It wasn't that long, and she was just asking me about my time. And first thing she said was, "Don't worry, you're not in trouble." And I clarified with her. I was like, "What is the SEI?" She was like, "No, it's the FBI." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I just continued the conversation. And then, so I wasn't fully. I thought it was the FBI because I went to Tiffany. I was like, "What's the SEI?" I got a call from the SEI. What is that?" And then I called back and I said, and while we were speaking, when she said, "You're not in trouble," I was like, "Okay, but what is the SCI?" And then we continued the conversation. She asked me about my time in Egypt, and she just asked me, what was I doing in Sinai a couple years ago when I visited Egypt? Apparently, she didn't realize I was born in Egypt, and also I was living there from 2020 to 2022. So I just told her I was in probably either a yoga retreat or I was in Dahab. Yeah, in that period of time, and one of the times I was even with my mom in a nutrition retreat, Ayurvedic nutrition. So I have nothing to hide. That's why I can answer any question comfortably because my entire life is very clear. Like there's no blur, there's no missing gap. Everything is, I know exactly what I did, when I did it, who I did it with. And a lot of it is also shared on Instagram because I use Instagram also as a way to have a digital journal. So wherever I travel, whatever I do, sometimes I share things just for myself, even if no one's gonna like it or it's not gonna go viral. It's not for you. It's not for the public. It's also for me. And yeah, we just talked a little bit about Sinai, and then at the end of the call, she said, we don't consider you a terrorist or a threat or something
Did she
like that."
say that? The terrorist word or
No,
no?
no, yeah, she was actually very polite, and I really appreciated the way she was speaking to me. I don't think she said the word. Oh, she said that we don't consider you a threat, and she apologized that she even had to do this because a lot of people can take this in a very wrong way. I was like, oh, why is she calling me? Is it just because I'm Muslim, Islamophobia, and they can just like go on this whole victimhood mentality. And she was very polite when she was speaking to me, and I really appreciated it. And she was like, "I'm really sorry I'm even making this call, but we got a lot of reports about you, and the police uh, sent it up the chain to us, and we're
I'm
our
curious.
department is the one that deals with these types of scenarios. We just make sure that you're not a domestic threat or you're not going to do anything that requires us to intervene."
Did she say what were those reports?
Uh, I don't fully recall, but we can check the recording, and I'm gonna share I can
Yeah,
share
I'm
the
really
recording
curious.
on.
Like, what was the, I guess, the main complaint?
Yeah. Uh, a lot of people have a lot of opinions and they complain, and I don't really pay attention to people's complaints.
Is this because you feel exhausted by all the negative attention you received?
No, I actually use it as entertainment because I know myself very well, alhamdulillah, and nothing anyone says shakes me. And if it's true, then I appreciate it. I thank them for the feedback and I work on it. If it's not true, I just start toying and playing with them. I'd be like, oh, really? Okay, yalla. And then I give him more fuel. I start messing with them. So that's why it doesn't, anything people throw my way, I can transmute and give it back to them however I like.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel a little calmer too, listening to how you casually said to FBI, "I'm gonna call you later."
And also one thing I really appreciated about her as well, I told her to her face, like on the phone, I was like, the people that are wearing the masks are not the terrorists. It's the real terrorists are the one that are in suits. And she got a little uncomfortable. I could hear it in her voice, and she said, "Well, you're entitled to your own opinion, and you have your freedom of speech." And I could tell she was very uncomfortable by that. And also, she told me that, and I mentioned to her that call that I got from the. I also shared it on my YouTube channel of this person calling me with giving me a death threat and very angry and going all about it. And then by the end of the call, he was apologizing to me, and she was like, "Yeah, we heard that," and she was telling me how if anything really does happen, just reach out to the police departments. They go above and beyond to really protect people, and I'm very sure they're gonna be there for you. And she even gave me her contact, so she
When
was
you
very. I did not. I can't really say it was a bad experience.
when you hung up the phone, did you go back to sleep?
I just continued my day. It was a nice time in Hawaii. Went to the beach. Continued with the marketing work I was doing. It's casual. So, alhamdulillah. I mean, it's not my first dance with power. I've been around quite a bit. I've been in a lot of situations where I've dealt with powerful people and powerful organizations. That's why I'm pretty calm under pressure, and I don't get intimidated because I'm not afraid of them. I only fear God, and this is what gives me the fuel to do everything I do and have the confrontations that I have and say what I say without really putting anyone into consideration. When if they like it, good for them. If they don't like it, well, it is what it is.
Before we switch topics and talk about like the events unfolding after
Yeah.
the interview, just in general, what advice would you give people if they were to receive a call from the FBI?
I mean, that depends on the person. If it's because I know I'm not.
Say I receive a call from the FBI
Well, it
that
depends on
asks
what you're
me.
doing. If you're really
First thing
doing,
I'm gonna say, give me a moment. I'm gonna call you back. Okay, I got that
you
part.
could do that.
I think this is genius, to be honest, because
She was actually the one that told me, "Would you like to call back? Is now a good time, or would you like to call back?" I was like, "I'll call you back,"
yeah,
because I was
because
honestly in bed just scrolling Instagram, just chilling, and then I just get a call like that. So
I think it would give me a moment to collect myself and to think before judging into any answers or committing to any answers. Because when we're nervous,
yeah, I
we
don't think
might.
I was nervous. I was just like, okay,
I
interesting,
think
cool.
yeah, for you it
Yeah,
was just like, mashallah, handled it very well. But for
I can
anyone,
feel the heat of the moment, but in general, like I'm present. I have nothing to hide. Any question you have for me, I'll probably have an answer for it. So
any other suggestions that we would give to folks that are getting calls from or would get calls from FBI? Because I feel like, and I will share a little bit of my experience traveling abroad and coming back. Um, very very quickly when I came back after traveling to Europe, and I had a conversation with a TSA agent. He was asking me like what was my purpose of traveling. I went in passing through
mm.
Turkey, and so I was just very casual saying like, everything is going well, I'm good. He said, do you have a passport? I'm like, no, not yet, I have a green card. And then I joked, I said, well, I'm excited to have a passport, but I'm also nervous because I'll have to decide who to vote for. As soon as I said that, he said, can you step aside? And then I had a few hour, well, I would say I think it was an hour of interrogation afterwards.
So I mean, you shouldn't get into politics with employees.
So okay, don't joke. When an FBI agent calls you or
No,
someone,
FBI is different than a airport employee. Like,
anyone
who's
of
this for?
anyone
Why,
of
why would
a
you even have
pop.
a conversation like that? It's irrelevant. Just go through. For me, for example, when I was going through Germany, they asked me what's the purpose of your visit. I just looked him in his eyes like football. He
Mm.
just looked at me for a couple seconds. I looked back. I didn't say anything because they measure your nervousness and your overall demeanor and everything about you. If they see like
I mean, yeah,
they
I
might just
was
let you
I, I
pass.
was a bit
Also,
nervous.
you wear the hijab, so you automatically have a target on your back. So it's kind of expected. If I have a big beard and I'm wearing a turban and you look different,
Mm.
so you attract attention.
I guess let me rephrase this question. If somebody is asking you, let's take it in
And I'm not
general.
saying that, by the way, in a bad way that you're wearing hijab. I fully respect that, but I'm just saying you stand out.
Yeah.
So they're gonna pay attention to you a little bit more than regular a person that they're used to. Not even gonna use the word regular because in the Middle East you're regular,
Yeah.
but in America you're not that regular. So it just depends on where you are.
So that level of collect and calm, almost stoic, is something that I wish I had in that moment. It would have saved me like 2 hours of waiting and
Yeah.
getting questioned. If someone were to ask you, like, give me an advice on how to be calm and collected in stressful situations, what would you say?
Go through a lot of intense experiences, and I wasn't always this calm. It's because I've been through a lot, whether with sports or with family or with political situations and whatnot. And I've had a lot of conversations with people, and I've been in physical danger, and also a lot of interesting situations that I faced death multiple times. So once you go through these situations and you realize that God really is there for you, you move different. That's why I function the way I do. It's not because I have a relative that I can call to help me out, or I have a lot of wasta, like connections that I could use. But in certain situations, no matter how many human connections you have, it has nothing to do with this specific situation you're in because this could be your last situation. But the way you carry yourself in that faith, which at a certain point becomes certainty, yaqeen, God gives it to you. I can't really give you an exercise to do to become calm. It's an overall state of being.
Mm.
So alhamdulillah, it's not. I can't give you one thing. I can say, oh, pray 5 times a day. Okay, a lot of people do that, but it doesn't work for them. So, and also sports, there's a lot of athletes that deal with very high level intensity, but they might not be the calmest. So it's a very diverse mix of scenarios, and also education and reading books. I also, alhamdulillah, I read and I learn from other people's experiences, and also marketing. You deal with a lot of psychology, so there's a lot of different factors. There's no one simplified version of, okay, here's point A and then point B. No, it's a spiral.
Yeah, and I appreciate this nuanced answer because in this day and age, we get a lot of videos in our recommendations that say if you wanna A, then you do B.
Because people are mainly in the majority of people, like I said on Piers Morgan interview, majority of people are pathetic, very ignorant, and they don't admit their ignorance. The reason I say that comfortably is because I was also ignorant. And in many certain ways, I'm still ignorant and I'm learning. But the difference between me and the majority is that I can admit when I don't know. But people, they don't like to admit that. They like to think they know everything and they got it. Once you're dealing with those types of people or with this type of rigidity, okay, you got it. Okay, cool.
Was there a question you wished he asked you?
I mean, there was a lot of questions he could have asked me, and for example, how am I living in Beverly Hills with Jewish people, and I'm peaceful. So, because they keep using this stereotype and stigma of it's a problem with the Jews. No, we don't have a problem with the Jews. It's with Zionism and what they're doing in Palestine. And regardless of what religion you are, if you behave the same way that this group of people have behaved in Palestine, you would have gotten the same response, if not more. So one thing that he could have pointed out is, first of all, what was I doing in Beverly Hills and how did I have a casual conversation with him? And why am I not walking around killing people if I really am what they portray us to be? I'm not from Palestine, but they are my brothers and sisters. And this, I don't even use this geopolitical divide and conquer strategy that they've done to us through the Sykes-Picot agreement, where they just took out the whole Middle East and chopped us up into countries, and now we have nationalism. I don't resonate with that. No, if you try to insult me by saying, "Oh, look at Egypt's this and that," I'm like, I'm not attached to the Egyptian identity. I'm not attached to Qatar or Emirates or Saudi. We're Muslims. We're all brothers and sisters. We're humans first, and they divide us and conquer us through this political clown show, where it's also from a marketing perspective. If you see how that flag is a logo, and then the national anthem and everything that comes along with it, it's pretty much a marketing agency with a strong security force. That's why as a marketer, I saw through that and I can see it. Like for example, the Palestinian identity with the kufi and all that. I could have went to the Piers Morgan interview with that scarf. I have it, but I didn't do that. And also in the video that went viral, which got me to the interview of that guy on the street that took a video of me, I was wearing that Muslim. It's not a Muslim thing, but Muslims do wear it, that hat that I got from Zaytuna College, and I didn't wear any of that. I didn't compromise on who I am or where I'm from or what I represent, but I don't want this to be the message that I'm delivering or the identity I want people to look at me as. Not even the suit. Like I just like that suit and it looks good, so I wore it. But we like to associate ourselves with certain cults, and I even look at statism as a cult. Whether it's you're following the flag or you're following this specific leader, like he becomes the prophet. So this is statism, and it pretty much becomes a religion. I don't subscribe to any of that stuff. When I was younger, I did. I was very proud of Egypt, and then I was also very I wouldn't say proud, but I was happy with how rich Qatar was and all the nice cars and the boats and very rich country. And I'm enjoying that richness because, alhamdulillah, we were also doing pretty well. So the more I grow, the more I start realizing this is all bullshit. Like we've been lied to, and the more I realize how these countries became countries, I recalculated started reassessing my opinions on the world and that passport that we have and these identities. Oh, I'm Qatari. Oh, I'm Emirati. Oh, I'm Saudi. I'm Omani. I started seeing things very differently.
So you've spoken about Palestine, but
Yeah,
recently you reduced the amount of posts and sharing in general on this topic. Could
yeah,
you share the reasons for this shift and how your views on the situation evolved over time?
yeah. I didn't decrease it because of anything that anyone told me to do or told me not to do. It's just because I reached a point where I realized it's all been said. Every all the things that are being shared on YouTube, for example, all the books that are written, all the people that are going out in the streets and protesting, which I don't entirely resonate with, and all the information's out there. We reached a point where it's not a lack of information. So, what am I doing by recreating the wheel? What am I going to add to the table that another person hasn't already talked about? So now we reached a point where you either take action or shut up. Like, I'm not saying that educating people is not important. It is, but we reached the point where all the education's out there. It's not the point where we're uninformed. No, we're informed. What are we going to do about it? I know that this is happening. Okay, what am I going to physically do about it? It's frustrating, and it's also me as a man that is very uh, caring for his brothers and sisters. I feel very insulted by the things that I keep seeing, and I can't physically. I don't have an army, and I can't do anything about it, and it bothers me to see how we're being humiliated like that. So, in a certain way, it's not very dignified to keep sharing how badly you're being raped. It's we need to stand up for ourselves. It's humiliating at this point. So I didn't change my views. I didn't compromise anything. I didn't take a step back. But I just realized, who am I speaking to? You already know. What don't you know? I'm gonna give you more information. Okay, you now I'm just giving you more details of the main picture, but you already know what the picture is. What are you gonna do about it? This is why I would the main people I would address would be people in positions of power, not the public. The public, what are they going to do? Just keep barking and expressing they're sad. Congratulations. What are we going to do with your sadness? A lot of people are sad, but when you communicate with authority and you actually make things happen and you make physical change, we can talk all day long. We can have all the conversations we want. We can go around in circles with our emotions. But then what did you do? Did I stop the bomb? All these protests that they're doing in the streets, all the information that we shared, did the bomb stop? No, they increased. Like yani, it's extremely humiliating. And it proves my point where your protests are pathetic. That's not how you make change. How you make real change is going to decision makers and actually influencing the infrastructure, not just barking in the street. You're just an annoyance, a minor annoyance that they're going to deal with. But real change happens in the actual building blocks of the system that even got us there. That's what I would like to focus more of my energy on, getting organized. We're very disorganized, we're very divided. The fact that we even have countries and there's this country, that country, that makes us weaker. It doesn't make us stronger. So, but then again, politics will get involved. Who's going to be the leader? Who's going to be the police? Who's going to be the army, et cetera, et cetera. That's why when I was answering Piers Morgan, it's a multi-layered topic, and I can't just give you a direct answer. Okay, here's the answer for this question. No, I can give you 50 different answers because there's a lot of different layers to solving this. There's logistics, there's finance, there's geopolitics, there's so many different aspects. So I can just appease your curiosity on one topic
Yeah.
or one aspect of that topic, but there's a lot that goes around with it. Yeah.
In the last 10 months, maybe not that many months, but 5 at least, I've been feeling hopeless.
I don't feel hopeless, but I do feel like we're failing as Muslims first, Arabs second, and as humans. Like this has nothing to do with your identity. This has everything to do with you being a human, and this is a test for all of us, even the people who uh, are not involved or like to convince themselves that this doesn't affect them or they're choosing not to pay attention. No, this is a test, and God is watching. Everything is recorded, and we're going to be judged. The way I function is I just want to make sure I can stand up with my head held high when I'm asked, "What did you do?" That's the motivation of everything I do, and I'm not doing it for people to clap for me or for people to see, because I do a lot that I don't share, and that's not my driving force. My driving force, even when I'm in private, when no one's watching, God is watching, and if
Mm.
people functioned from there, these so-called leaders wouldn't be behaving the way they do, because the things they do behind closed doors, of which I'm aware of, and the things that happen in general there, they're not God conscious. They don't fear God as they should, and they don't regard God as much as they should. They've become lovers of this world, and they've become illusioned by materialism. That's why they're easy to manipulate. That's why they're easy to put them in their place. Because how did the British Empire do all of this?
Mm.
Money, influence, power, weapons,
Yeah, we'll talk about.
glamorizing all that materialism that they're good at. I respect the advancements that even Israel has done with their weapons. It's smart. They have very powerful weapons. Why don't we learn? So
We'll talk about the influence of
yeah,
British in the Middle East. But I remember something you mentioned to me was that you went viral in the bike and car community.
yeah, that was pretty recent. It was
Could you share what was that? And I remember you said again. Was there another episode where you went viral with apart from the Piers Morgan's interview that like got that much attention?
in the past couple months. I don't think so. But in general, yeah, I've been on TV before. For example, talking about yoga, and then another time I went viral for
Oh wow, yoga.
yeah, for talking about
Is that why long hair?
not really. No, long hair is because I realized that hair is an extension of your nervous system, and there's a lot of different aspects to why I'm letting my hair grow.
That's
But
why women cut their hair when they break up.
yeah, actually, when your hair holds memory, and hair is a very there's also this analogy of how it's not actually an analogy. It's I just can't physically and directly prove it, but I did read about it and hear about it. For example, here in America, when they were going through the forests and the landscape, they realized that the natives could navigate very well and very easily, to know where to go. So they recruited them to the army, and they cut their hair. And
Oh.
as soon as they cut their hair, they no longer had that ability to navigate as well as they did. And they realized it's because they cut their hair, and their hair is a connection to the environment that's around them. It's not just for beauty. And also, if you remember in the movie Avatar, how
Mm.
they connect the hair to the animal,
I
that's
haven't
their
seen that
bond.
movie.
It's an interesting movie with a lot of interesting information if you look at it not just through an entertainment lens.
How did you navigate that situation with in the bike and car community? Like what happened?
It was a very ironic situation that I wasn't really expecting, because I found out I recently got a bike, and
Congrats.
thank you. And
On
while I
getting
was in,
closer to death.
what's that?
On getting closer to death.
We're all gonna die anyway, so why do we tiptoe safely to arrive at the same place? We might
Fair
as well
enough.
live a good life.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
And while I was at the traffic light on my way back from work, a guy pulled up next to me in a car, and he was like, "Hey, are you on your way to bike night?" I was like, "What's that?" I was like, "Where is that?" He was like, "How about Arden?" I didn't fully understand that, and I told him when. He was like, "Now," and I was like, "Oh," I said when first, and then he was like, "Now," and then I said where. He was like, "How about Arden?" I didn't get that. What do you mean, how about Arden? And then the light turned green, so he left, and then I pulled over to the side, and I wrote how I know Arden. Arden is a place in Sacramento, so I just wrote in the GPS, "How about Arden?" And then I found the place with that name. So I went there, and then I found a group of people all with very nice bikes and pretty interesting setup they have there. And I was looking for it online, trying to see, is this something organized? Is this something they do every week? Or how can I get more information about this? I didn't really find that much. But then I asked the people there, it's like, yeah, this happens every Thursday from 7 to 9. And then I decided, since they don't really have a pretty good setup for them digitally, I'm very good with marketing. I know how to take nice videos. And I was seeing nice things that even if I'm not going to share them on Instagram, it's just nice memory because I travel a lot. So I was like, you know what? This is nice for me to remember. And then I shared on my own personal page. And then I realized, you know what? This could actually be something. I can make a whole page specifically for this because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of gangs and groups and very nice bikes as well. It's positive energy, and I don't mind
I did
blending.
not. I've never heard gangs and positive energy in one sentence.
Yeah, I mean, because when you really think about it, and if you really do interact with the people, they're just people like you and me that decided to associate together in a certain way, and they have their own characters, just like we all do, and they're just more together than the general public would be. And I'm the type of person, like, as you've gotten an idea of to a certain extent, I'm not intimidated, and I'm okay, especially given all my travels and all the experiences I've had. I don't mind walking up to anyone and just blending in and seeing what's up. It's like because I respect myself, and I also do the same for others. I'm not walking around disrespecting anybody. So you stay in your lane, I stay in mine. There's no problem. Even if we don't like it, even Zionists, we see them on the street. And when I was in LA, I wasn't walking around punching people. As long as each person is in their own lane, there's no problem. I can dislike you. We can agree to disagree. No problem. You can dislike me. You can hate me. But as soon as you touch me or you do anything out of bounds, then I'll deal with you. But if you have emotions, it's okay. Everybody has emotions.
Was there something they did, the biker community, that was out of bound?
Yeah, so I made a page that kept, and I kept sharing all the stuff that I was seeing. There's very nice bikes, cool people. Everybody was treating me very nicely, and they were all open to me taking videos. And people were very happy about the videos I was taking. And then 3 or 4 weeks later, I think 3 weeks later, this was also pretty funny because I was still very new to the area and very new to the whole bike scene in general and this community. And apparently, it's been going for a very long time, almost 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a thing that I was completely unaware of. And then in one of the videos I was taking, the bikers were rolling in. They're all coming in with a group, as a group. And then towards the end, I didn't even notice this until while I was filming it. But and then a police car came in. And I was like, okay, this is cinematic. I just kept the camera going. I didn't like change anything because I was down getting an angle to get a nice cinematic view of the whole uh, view. And then police car came in. I just kept the camera rolling. And police car passed. They even put a Tupac song. It was like, it's on my Instagram page and also the bike page. It's called Bikes.Sacramento. It was Bike Night. Then I changed it to Bike Nights because apparently there was also an organizer. We'll get to that. And then I changed it now to Bikes.Sacramento. It's not because he told me anything or anyone told me anything. It's because I take videos of multiple bikes in different locations. So this is kind of restrictive. So, anyways, police car pulled in, and then I just continued with the camera. But what really bothered them, this was all okay. So it's a very nice video. I like it. Even if I was one of those bikers, I would have really liked that video. Me personally, while I was editing it, I was like, that's pretty cool. And then police car went through. Everybody was taking videos as well, and people were excited. I was like, okay, typical. And then the problem that caused this to become something is because when I posted it on Instagram, I tagged the police department's Instagram page. And from my experience, I don't consider this to be something serious. They're not going to take action because I made an Instagram tag. This is very trivial. But I tagged them, and I also tagged a few of the riders that I recognized. And I said in the comments, if you see yourself in the video, raise your hand or like tag yourself or let me know so I can tag you. Very friendly, very casual. And then one of the bikers sent me a DM. He was like, "Why would you?" I untagged myself. Why would you tag me with all these government agencies? Don't be a rat. And then he put this little rat icon. And after all the things that I'm doing in my life and all the things that I've exposed about government corruption and all the ways that I am very vocal against government corruption and how the world works in general, and then me being called a rat, it kind of I was very taken aback by it, and I just replied saying, "What are they?" And I just addressed the situation in the first place. There was nothing happening that's worth snitching about, or nothing illegal happening. It's just guys that pulled in with their bikes, and there's a police car that happens to be behind them with the lights on. And I found it to be something very casual. And then when he said that, I responded to him saying, "What are they going to do about it? Give you a ticket for riding around peacefully in a parking lot? Don't be a clown." And then I took a screenshot of that and I shared it. And apparently that person was somebody in the community. I also didn't know he has a very nice bike, and apparently he's someone respected in that community. And I put him on blast, as they'd say. And then I live in a very I'm wondering whether I should mention this part or not. I mean, I might as well. So he came to the. I live in a very specific place in Sacramento. It's a nice area, and I have a very unique bike. I haven't seen anyone with the same bike, the same color and style. And in the post right before it, I geotagged the location of where I live. So he saw that, and he just went around with his bike, uh, looking for something in that area that I posted. And then he pulled up to the house. He saw my bike parked in the driveway. He took a picture of it and he shared it on his page. And then when he did that, when he did that, it went even more. It took it up to a much higher level, and that's why I turned up the heat even more. I'm the type of person, if you're gonna raise the heat, I'm gonna raise it even more. So I was also getting a lot of messages from other people that were texting me about the situation, what I don't understand about the community and the relationship between bikers and the police and how things are here in general. And to me, I was like, "What you think if the police wanted to get you, they can't block all the exits and corner you all in and do whatever they want to do?" Because living in Egypt for a couple years, I know how police function if they really want to mess with you. And what I see here in California is extremely chill. Like this is nowhere near what I am familiar with. So and there's always a sheriff's car that is parked in that area. So yeah, you want to say something? It seems
So did somebody arrive at your house after that when the
no,
address was exposed?
no. A lot. I got a lot of threats. A lot of talking happened, and just like I expected, a bunch of little chihuahuas barking.
Have you thought of changing your address or changing your location after that? Moving somewhere else?
If anyone comes, they're not gonna be the same person after that. I can deal with them, no problem. So if someone wants to do something stupid, well, I'll be defending myself. And I also said that to the FBI agent that called me.
Because of the situation?
No, the FBI called me for Piers
But that
Morgan,
that
but
PS
on that call I was
I
like,
thought you got another call.
no, I didn't. And I did mention it to the FBI at that time that I'm not walking around trying to hurt anyone, but if anyone does something, all the message that I'm promoting is that I'm not just gonna take a hit and be quiet about it. I assert myself. That's it.
Yeah. So you mentioned that would it be a fair statement that police in America or California specifically is more respectable than police in Egypt?
Absolutely.
What shaped your perspective on that? Can you give me an instance of
Yeah, I can give you multiple. Before, which is also very interesting coming from me, because before I come to America, all the things that we see on social media and the news and the police brutality and all that, it's very highlighted here in America. So for a guy like me, with the background that I have, and I've had a lot of very intense experiences with corrupt police around the world, and specifically Egypt. There was multiple times that they literally told me I was going to be disappeared, and
Oh, I'm so familiar with that.
yeah, there's a specific type of language that we use, and I'm very familiar with it. I've been in very intense situations. I didn't even share them with my family because my mom would probably not sleep more than she already has concerns about the things that she does know about.
Or the bike.
What's that?
Or the bike.
Yeah, everything. I'm not the easiest son to have, but if you look at it in a different way, I would be happy to have a son like me. So
Mm.
alhamdulillah. Um, Wait, what was the question?
Instances of police
Oh yeah,
brutality
police.
in
Yeah,
Egypt that
police
shaped
brutality.
your perspective that in America police is
Yeah,
more respectable than in Egypt.
yeah. So having the experiences that I've had here in California, and even before I come, in the video that I made right before traveling here, I literally mentioned how I mentioned police brutality and how it was one of the reasons why I didn't choose to come to America earlier, because I've had the passport since I was very young. I could
Mhm.
have come anytime. but I kept deliberately choosing not to for multiple reasons. And one of the main ones was how police here and the videos that we see on social media, a guy like me would probably end up in jail or dead because I'm a very assertive person. I don't just obey just because he told me to, and I don't as I've had experiences with in Egypt. If a police officer comes at me disrespectfully or just tried to bully me or flex his authority, I clap back directly. I'm like, who are you? I don't take it. And given how we've seen videos of police in America directly just pulling out their gun and shooting people, I was expecting the same thing to happen with me here. That's why I was like, you know, avoiding a problem is better than solving it. So
Mm.
I just stayed away in general. I went to Europe, traveled around. But then I reached a point where I was like, you know what? I can come to America for 2 weeks. I had a return ticket for 2 weeks. I came here, and then I realized everything is very calm. There's no checkpoints because there's a lot of checkpoints in Egypt where that's where they usually start bullying and stealing money from people, usually the poorer and weaker people. And I noticed here in America, there's nothing like that, or at least in California, I haven't seen a single checkpoint since I came. I haven't seen also a single scenario where I felt an urge to get involved to defend a person because a lot of the problems I faced in Egypt were not because of me being the problem. It's because I see an injustice happening. I see bullying happening to a weaker person. I just step in and be like, hey, what are you doing? Show some respect, or you shouldn't talk to him like that or do that. I just confront the bully because I see myself as the person that bullies the bullies. And here in America, California, I haven't even seen a single situation, not even one, where I was passing. I'm a very vigilant person as well. I pay attention when I'm riding around or driving or in the car. And I've been around California to many different places. And I haven't seen a single situation where any of that was happening. So they have a bad reputation where other people would have much worse if they were getting the same spotlight. And we did have a revolution in Egypt, or a quote unquote revolution. It was kind of orchestrated and unsuccessful, if it really was. And yeah, police here is, I respect the police here, which is something I never thought I would ever say given all the experience I've had. But I'm publicly saying that police in California deserves more respect than they get.
I'm curious if a situation that happened here with the bike community and the police,
Yeah.
if it happened in Egypt, what would have been the outcome?
What do you mean?
Say you had a bike and car community in Egypt,
Yeah,
you
there
took the
is.
same video,
Yeah.
you posted it, you tagged the police,
Yeah.
you tagged the people that were in the community, what would have happened?
I don't think Egypt even has proper Instagram accounts to
For
be
the police?
tagged. Yeah. And even if they did, it would be very bad and very low quality, and they probably won't even see it. And it's very different. That's why I was surprised that this became a thing because I'm not familiar with how things function here. And also, given my experience with the police here, I didn't find a problem with tagging their page. They're not going to do anything. And there's always a sheriff right there at the event. So they already know about the place. Because some of the people told me, oh, you're putting a spotlight on us and whatnot. I was like, you already have the spotlight on you. I'm just making it look nicer. And there was a lot of pathetic and genuinely childish comments that I was receiving, and I handled them exactly as they deserve to be handled. Maybe I turned up the heat a little bit by exposing some of the conversations and sharing them publicly, but at the same time, they shared the address of the house I'm renting. It's not even my house. If it was my house, no problem. Come, Habibi, let's have a conversation. But he didn't even come knock on the door, for example, because he came directly almost an hour after I did that. So I was impressed by that. But he didn't come knock on the door, be like, hey, man, I need you to remove the post or have a conversation with me. We didn't even know each other that much. And I had recorded his bike. I met him in person. I told him it was a very nice bike. I made a video and shared it on the page, and it was good. Had he dealt with the situation like a man came and had a conversation with me, I would have been happy to cooperate and turn things a lot more, turn things down a little bit. This didn't need to be what it became.
If you see him on the street after this interview, would you come up to him and talk?
I showed up the next week to the event, and things got very heated, and I got a lot of threats. I still showed up to the place. I walked around. I saw him. Uh, I walked right by him. If he were to come up to me to say something, we would have had a conversation. I would have explained the situation and also let him know how what he did was an extremely unwise move, especially for him, because anything that would have happened to the house, I'm going to come for him first, even if he has nothing to do with it. He's going to have a price to pay for making that move and making the address known.
Mm.
So it was a very foolish move. And there are many ways I can handle these situations, and there will be a lot of losses that they could have easily avoided. That's why I'm okay with having heat and having people think they can intimidate me. It's because I can hurt you.
Mm.
So if you want to think that you can hurt me, yeah, maybe you annoy me a little bit. Okay, no problem. But can you afford what I can do to you? And he doesn't know me. He doesn't know what I'm capable of doing. He doesn't know how far I can go. So it's very foolish.
Let's go a little deeper.
Mhm.
Have you finished college or university?
No, I actually dropped out because I don't respect the modern education system. Although I do love knowledge and wisdom, and it's an integral part of who I am. I read a lot. I continuously educate myself. Although a lot of people, especially in the Middle East, they say, "Did you finish your education?" And now, even the police in Egypt, they usually ask me that question because they realize I talk back a lot,
Mm.
and I corner them quite often. And then they tell me, "Did you finish your education?" I'm like, "We never finish learning." And then seeing how the universities push a certain narrative and they don't always share the truth, and sometimes it's straight up indoctrination. I started to see beyond all that and started to realize, why am I paying money for this? And my dad was the one that was paying money, and I realized he's not happy with my grades. I'm not happy by showing up, so both of us are unhappy. Well, I might as well make one of us happy, so I'll make myself happy.
Some might say that, well,
And there's a lot
he,
of layers to this. It's not just about money or
right.
indoctrination system. No, my football career was also a big part of it,
Mm.
and that just pushed me to start understanding the world in a much better and clearer way.
Are you
So
married?
yes, I am currently married. Yes, and but not in the conventional sense that we didn't have a wedding. There's no government paperwork. But
Nikah?
what do you mean? Nikah is marriage in Arabic. So
Yeah. You had the.
there's no paperwork.
But I think when in America, I'm not married, so I'm not very familiar with that. But I believe in America,
She's
when
American and
when
Jewish,
you.
from Jewish heritage. Let's say she's not very religious. She's more of
Oh
a hippie.
wow,
Yeah, she's more of a hippie, which is an interesting. You know, I even realized that
is
she
she
was.
safe with you as an Arab, as a Muslim?
What do you mean?
I mean, I imagine that would be one of the questions that people who asked you about your political views might wonder.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting you say that because part of her family were expressing support to the Zionists, and I talked to her about that to make sure, because I didn't even know she had any sort of Jewishness to her before I come. I came, and when I was in the house, trying her mother's house, trying to find a place to pray. While as soon as I finished praying and I was standing up, I looked in their cabinet and then I found the candles and I was like, what's that doing here? And then I went and asked her. I was like, what's this doing here? She was like, oh, we're Jewish. I was like, really? She was like, yeah, we're Jewish. We're not very
Oh, I've never
religious.
heard that phrase, Jewish.
Yeah, that's what people usually say when they're not very religious, but they do have religious Jewish heritage. And her grandfather is a Holocaust survivor as well, and one
Mm.
of her relatives is very involved in the Jewish community. I don't want to put a spotlight. Maybe they don't want me to
Yeah.
mention that, but they are very involved in very. I don't need to share too much information about that, but yeah, it's been a very interesting series of events this past year,
Yeah.
and even my relationship with her. Subhanallah, this is not something that was intentional, and maybe had I known more details before, I probably wouldn't have continued this relationship to how far it went. But I do love her very much, and she loves me.
Inshallah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of value, and I've also seen a lot of hypocrisy, even with Muslim women and women in general. I had a lot of experience, alhamdulillah, and my views have changed after every relationship.
On
And
marriage or
marriage and women,
Muslim people? or
in
women?
many ways, marriage, women, Muslim people, Muslim
Okay,
community.
let's talk about the Muslim people and Muslim community. How
Yeah,
did your views on Muslims change?
a lot.
Where were you? Let's get into the starting point.
Yeah, I grew up in a very religious house. My dad is very religious. I always used to go to the mosque, pray every day in the mosque. And whenever I miss it, I get punished. And I was the person that does the call to prayer. We lived in a
Mm.
nice compound, villas, and then we have a swimming pool, tennis, and then have a mosque in the corner there, in the clubhouse. And I was very involved in Islam, although I started off hating it because of the way that my dad was forcing it on me. I have to memorize the Quran. If I don't memorize it, I don't go out to play with my friends. I
Mm.
don't. Eh, I would say that my father was the first terrorist I ever dealt with because of the way he terrorized me with religion. That's why
Do you condemn your father?
I love my father and I appreciate a lot of the good things that he has done. But at the same time, I don't ignore and I hold him accountable for the things that he has done that he could have done much better.
Mm.
Everybody has room for improvement. We all can learn from our mistakes. And I've had a lot of, there's a lot that you probably don't know about my relationship with him, but
Yeah.
it got, I shared a lot of things on social media and on my website and the blog. And it reached the point I became publicly vocal about what was happening.
Mm.
Uh, we, we could get into that, but this could take a whole other episode
Yeah,
by
I think
itself.
this
But
can be a
we
different
can
episode.
focus, yeah, we can focus on the religious aspect of my life. And it's a very religious upbringing because of my dad. And
Did he ever expect you being with a Jewish woman?
absolutely not. I didn't even tell them that she's.
Did he ever say you can marry any woman you like, any woman, as long as she is a good Egyptian girl?
Well, nobody tells me what I can or cannot do. That's from the beginning. I don't ask their permission on who I can marry, where I can go, or what I can do. They struggle with me with that, and ever since I was young, I'd rather ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. And my parents have had an interesting life with me. I brought them a lot of stress, but I see myself as a blessing because of many different reasons. I'm not gonna sit here and talk about myself and how
Have
amazing.
you ever had a Muslim girlfriend or a
Yes,
Muslim?
yes, yes, multiple. I think all of them. I think most of them
What
were. Yeah.
happened?
I mean, it just depends on the woman. I've had multiple relationships, and some of them were religious. Some of them, yeah, were religious, and some of them were not religious. And I didn't find them to be very different than if they were non-religious. You know,
Mm.
it's something to do with how you were raised, your mother, who you are as a person, your family, and how powerful you are as an individual, and what you're willing to stand up for, and if you'd be willing to stand up for me, because I'm not the most simple person you can be involved with. There's a lot of heat around me. I'm not a regular person.
So
So
when did you feel like, okay, I might not marry a Muslim woman?
it's not to. I can marry a Muslim woman, and it's not. I don't take religion to be your outward religion to be the main criteria, but how you behave, because there are some women who do not subscribe to the outward shape or appearance of Islam, but they behave very respectfully, and they're women. They're a lady. She's a lady. But there's a lot of Muslim women who appear to be Muslim. They wear the hijab and all that outward appearance stuff, but they're very unimpressive. Let's just
Mm.
put it that way. I can say a lot of negative things that can possibly go viral very easily, but I was very unimpressed.
What shaped or influenced your view of the Muslim community or Muslim people?
What shaped it?
So you grew up
Yeah, I
in
grew up.
in a Muslim household.
Yes,
Then you went the conventional way. You were
yeah,
seeing Muslim women who were potentially, your future spouse. Then as you were going through college and football and
yeah.
just like learning who you are as a person, was religion still a big part of your life?
Yes, of course. It's always been a very big part of my life, and it influenced a lot of my decisions, a lot of the things that I did and didn't do. Even partly when I was younger, I could have come to university in America, but I chose not to because I didn't feel like I was religiously uh, grounded enough and adept enough to come to America, where I could get influenced by many different things. I wanted to be fully and strongly committed to the religion before I make that step, and face the heat and face
That's very
the belly of
thoughtful.
the beast
Yeah,
and the
that you've had
confusion.
that
Yeah. So I
perspective.
needed clarity before diving into the wilderness. So I got that. I mean, I wouldn't even say that I got it after doing my own research and traveling around and studying different religions and different cultures. You know,
But you do say your view of Muslims changed.
yes, I don't respect the Muslim Ummah. Look at us. Look at what's happening in Palestine. Look at what happened during COVID, just so that we don't get
Mm.
censored. What happened in the mosques? Praying at a distance. The mosques shut down. I even confronted multiple shiuch. I was telling them, "Is this the house of God or the house of the government? Whose directions do you follow?" They were like, "Oh, this is belonging to the Wazarat al-Awqaf, like the ministry of." I don't know what the translation of that is, but the ministry, the government. So that was a very interesting moment for me to realize, okay, this is the house of the government. This is an extension of the government's project. People here are not fully in direct submission to the creator. They fear the government more than they fear the creator. Even with the germs, like لن يصيبنا إلا ما كتبه الله لنا. Like nothing will happen to you unless that which God has written for you or on you. So we don't apply what we claim to follow, and this is why we've become such a pathetic group of people and such a consumerist society. Look at the Middle East. We just consume. We're not the producers that we used to be. Our history is amazing, but our current reality is very shameful.
I will share a few sentences with you. After each, I would like you to finish that sentence.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
I wish I.
I wish. I I used to wish a lot, but now I pray and I have goals and I make it happen. Or if it doesn't happen, alhamdulillah. I
I
don't
reg-
say I have any more wishes.
I regret that I.
I have no regrets.
I learned that I.
I learned a lot. I'm writing books about what I learned. So
If there was one thing you would you were to pick about what you learned about yourself, what would that be?
I love cats. I definitely love cats very much.
Finish the sentence. If only I.
If only I. That kind of ties into the sense of regret. If only I. Oh, it's like I'm reminiscing about something. Oh, if only. But I really have no regret. There's a lot of things I would have wanted to happen, but they didn't happen, and alhamdulillah, I'm at peace with it, and it is what it is. I look forward to new things in the future. I don't like to dwell on the past. Yeah.
I never expected that I.
Would be married to a Jewish woman with a Zionist family.
Finally, I am
Although
proud.
I must uh, point out that I'm not fully sure whether they're Zionists in support of what Israel is doing, because her mother told me that that no one is anti-Palestine, so that was very good. And I'm slowly finding out more as we go. Yeah. So yeah, you were saying.
Yeah. And finally, I'm proud that I.
I don't like to be proud because pride is a sin. Al-Izza lillah. Pride is only for God. Me personally, I respect myself. I'm grateful. I do my best, and uh, what am I don't think I can even be proud because I'm everything, but I'm also nothing. I don't control the beat of the beating of my heart or the flow of my blood. So God can stop everything in a single second. So everything is for God. It's not. I'm simply experiencing.
I have final three questions, but don't think too much. Whatever comes to mind first.
Yeah.
What's the meaning of life?
First thing that came to my mind is love, but I don't think it's only love. It's God. What's the meaning? Just really depends. Depends. My answer is depends.
What is freedom?
Submission to God.
What is love?
Also submission to God because you become guided to do the best thing.
Is there any question you wished I asked but I didn't?
Hmm. There's a lot of things I can discuss, and there's a lot of different topics. So if there's any question I would like to be asked, I can send you an entire list of questions. So
Sounds
I
good.
think this is a perhaps a good start. Maybe we can have round two if we meet again. It was a long journey coming here, and I also respect all the effort that you put into coming here and all the time and energy and attention to detail that you put into this. So I acknowledge you for that.
Thank
And
you.
inshallah, if we have a round two, we can do a new set of questions.
I would love to talk about the relationship between parents and children in Muslim community.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
perhaps a sensitive topic, but it is one
Yeah.
that really impacts so many people.
Yes. It's also one of the reasons why we are a failed community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.